Dr. Mathew's biography of Ratan Tata was published this October. Unfortunately, Mr. Tata passed away a couple of weeks before the book could be published. But it is the most definitive account of of the lives of one of the most remarkable personalities of our time. And if you aren't familiar with the book yet, copies are available at the bookstore. Please do pick them up. We are going to be talking about the book, about Mr. Tata himself, and about Dr. Mathew's interactions with him, how closely he knew him, all of that. And I think it's going to be a very interesting hour. So, Dr. Mathew, you knew Ratan Tata for more than 3 decades and quite
right.
intimately. What was he like? I mean, when the first time that you met him, tell us what your first impressions of him were like. And then what was he like as a person? Did you feel that over the time that you knew him, that he changed in some ways? Did he surprise you at any point?
Thank you, Udayan. In fact, I'm very happy to be here because I started my career in Calicut as assistant collector under training. So it's like coming back home. And then I'll tell you, a small aside. I had a promotee collector, a very determined, very devout officer. I'm not going to give you his name. So I was straight out of JNU. So I came with my EC Rider motorcycle. And I started moving down with that EC Rider. Collector called and told me, you're not in JNU anymore. And he asked the commissioner to seize my motorcycle. And he gave me a car instead. So let me begin talking about Tata. I'm very happy to be back here. Now, I don't know if you would have seen Mr. Tata, okay? I'm sure if the men had seen Mr. Tata, you would feel inferior and the ladies would have chosen different husbands, okay? Now, I met him in 1994-95 when he came to meet my minister, that is, Mr. Karnakaran was the chief minister at the time. He had then gone to Sindh as industry minister. And as an industry minister, he had come to see him. There were many captains of industry who used to come and see him. So he did not bother. I said, what, Mr. Tata, let anybody come. But the second he walked in, it was like a Greek god walking in. 6 feet 2 inches, beautiful crop of hair, and with hazel eyes. I can see the ladies almost with eyes wide open. Hazel eyes means melding the color of gold, green, and brown. And what surprised me was just humility, okay? Now, I need to show you what he looked like, okay? Men don't feel inferior. Can I have section 1, please? That's him. Okay. So
Dr. Mathew, this is when he's in college, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No, in terms of look, he's always been in college. When he used to go to Taj, I'm told ladies who are on leave, even maternity leave, used to come and stand behind the counter to have a look at him, peek. Okay. So that's what it is. Now, Mr. Tata was a very complex man. Complex because I like to explain it in one sentence, but very difficult to fathom. That is because he's a very simple man. And you know something? What is more complex is that it is extremely difficult to unravel the complexities of a simple man than unravel that of a complex man, if you know what I mean. Now, what is remarkable about this man was that he combined opposite characters in one persona. Business, he was extraordinarily aggressive. In terms of human relationship, his empathy was unparalleled. So therefore, he combined empathy, sympathy, along with aggressiveness in business. Now, nothing changed over the years, except when he was old, that everybody, changes. But otherwise, he was just the same man.
one of the things about the book that is very, very special is that it gives us insights into Mr. Tata's early life, his growing up years. There are many, many things in this book that before this book came out, these were not known, and Dr. Mathew derived these stories from Mr. Tata himself, from people he knew well, and immense amount of research as well. Tell us a little bit about what he was like growing up. Especially, I want you to talk about the influence that his grandmother Lady Tata, had on him.
See, you need to understand the background of Mr. Ratan Tata's childhood. At the age of 6, 7, his mother left the matrimonial home. And can you imagine, in 1944-45, if a wife of a man leaves the matrimonial home, you can imagine the emotional trauma the man will face. Not that now you will not face, but you can imagine he was ridiculed in society, and therefore Mr. Tata grew up in a household where he had no mother and a distraught father. And the story of his mother's separation became talk in the school. He was outclassed. People made fun of him. He had no friends except Udayan Mitra and his brother, the famous conductor and his brother. So you can imagine the traumatic phase. And then he said, Thomas, I used to tag along with my father wherever he went for the fear that he may even lose him. Then came Lady Navajbai Tata. Lady Navajbai Tata was the wife of Sir Ratan Tata, the second son of the founder, Jamshedji Tata, about whom we read in the book, class books 8, 9. She took him under her wings, and she became the central theme in his life. He says, she became my universe. And all her ethical moorings, he understood, absorbed. And in fact, he himself says, everything what I am today is because of her. And she was a lady of high morality, ethical standards, and empathy and sympathy for the poor. So that is what actually describes Mr. Tata. That is a kind of influence. Other than her, JRD to a certain extent, and his father only for, taking the fear out of his, apprehension when he saw a stage. Initially, Mr. Tata froze, but he says, my father taught me how to stand up and speak. And he was the only industrialist who would speak without any written material. So she was a central figure in his life. And she said it, and he called her my G, okay? Now, I asked him, sir, what does my G mean? He says, I don't know what my G means, but meant grandmother, only mine. That is how possessive he was about her. Can I have this photo too, just to show you what Lady Navajbai Tata looked like? Section 2, please. Hey, you got that wrong. Lady Navajbai Tata, the ladies, yes, this is the one. This is the painting of Lady Navajbai Tata taken in 1903. Okay, shall we go on to the next?
So, Mr. Tata's values were, related question to this, Mr. Tata's values were to a very large extent imbibed from his grandmother, right? And those values then went on to form the base of the Tata Group. When we think of the Tata Group today, one of the first things that come to mind is ethics and values. And that's where it came from. Would you say that?
That's absolutely correct. See, the Parsis, according to Parsi religion, there's a concept of salvation. Salvation means doing the right thing when you're alive. And number 2, when you depart, that you have to ensure that you leave a person who will also follow the same path. Parsi religion does not decry making of money, but they're very clear that it has to be made the right way, number 1. And number 2, it has to be deployed for the society, for the welfare of the society in a trusteeship concept. So this was an unwritten code, violated at times. But when Mr. Tata came, he institutionalized these norms. And in 1998, he brought in what is called the Tata Code of Conduct, much before companies in Europe had bought such ethical guidelines. So that is what Mr. Tata actually symbolized. And I'll give you an instance. There was a case where the private secretary to a minister asked Tata Steel, at the time was Dr. J.J. Irani was the MD, asked him for 4 crores. Then we will give you mining right for 1,000 crores. And Dr. J.J. Irani, with a lot of trepidation, called up Mr. Tata. Mr. Tata said, why are you calling me? We are not going to pay. So finally, he lost 1,000 crores because he did not fork out 4 crores. Now that takes a lot of courage. And that is this man.
I mean, it was a categorical no. It's not even something we should think about or anything.
In fact, he reprimanded J.J. Rani. He said, why are you calling me? I'm not going to give you permission, and you know that. He said, sir, the private secretary said, you know nothing. Tata se baat kar lo. You know, in disdain, Tata se baat kar lo. And he came back very strong. And that's what the Tata group, in fact, one sentence more. You know, Mr. Tata was asked this question several times. Are you not arresting the growth of the group? I am not taking the names of other groups which have moved at a faster trajectory. I'm not taking the names. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. I'm not going to say that. They asked him, why? He says, why will I do that? He says, if I do that, I will be known as another venal business house. A business house which believes in immorality. Says, I will not do such a thing. But at the same time, if you come to the question, I'll tell you, despite the fetters of morality he put on himself, Tata Group continues to be the #1 group. Yeah. That is the moral lesson, and the economic lesson is left for all of us, that you don't have to be bad in order to grow. You can be good and in fact grow faster than when you're bad. That is the morality. That's the moral lesson.
Thank you, sir. So we're moving roughly chronologically through Mr. Tata's very remarkable life. He grows up in Bombay, and then he goes to college, and this is in the United States, and he goes to Cornell University. Tell us a little bit about those days, because this phase of Mr. Tata's life is, before this book was published, it was not well documented. Dr. Mathew unearthed a lot of material on that phase of his life. Very interesting time in Mr. Tata's life. Tell us a little bit.
Fascinating. In fact, it'll take about 10 festivals like this to talk about his love lives, his passion for cards, his passion for flying, and what all did in the US. Okay. In fact, he fell in love with US so much, he called it his second home. I asked him this question, sir, given a chance, would you have stayed back? He said, I would have. I asked him, why did you come back? He says, 2 reasons. One, his grandmother was unwell. Second, his grandmother told him that it is for you to embrace the ethical values of the group and ensure that this is embedded in the DNA of the group. It is your duty. So therefore, he gave up the girlfriend of his life, the love for architecture, which he was employed in one of the best firms in the world, that is Jones and Emmons in the US. And finally, he was compelled to come back. Now, as a college student, he was a very, very bright student. Now, he chose mechanics first, not out of choice, but he was compelled by his father to take mechanics. But Mr. Tata wanted to be an architect. And if you see his handwriting, you know, if you see the old village officers of Malabar region writing like calligraphy, have you seen it with black ink you write? Even the best of printers cannot copy that. That's the kind of handwriting he has. And after 2 years, the hard side of Mr. Tata emerged. and he decided to defy his father and moved to architecture. His father wanted him to be a chartered accountant, like all fathers want. Children think that, father has got the best profession in the world, so you follow me. But R&T did not want to do that. So he moved to architecture and did extraordinarily well. And there was one passion, that is flying. And he would do anything to fly. Those days, can you imagine, Mr. Tata could only be sent $180 a day. Sorry, a month. $180 a month. And flying in the US cost money. So what did he do? He washed planes, pushed planes, and one instance he sold his cufflinks to buy flying hours. Okay. Then he developed a business model. What is the business model? He told everybody, I will be your pilot. I will fly you anywhere in the US. He had this tri-pacer. There's an aircraft with a front engine. 3 people can sit. Very robust aircraft. So his model, business model was, I will fly you. You hire the plane. You fill the fuel and pay for my boarding and lodging. And I will not charge. So as a result of which, what happened? In 2 years, he ended up flying from New York to California, from north to south, east to west. A great business model. Otherwise, he would have had to pay from his pocket. So that's, and then there's something very interesting. The Tata, who you know, is not the real Tata. He plays pranks. He used to entice his classmates to come with him flying on tri-pacer. He used to take the aircraft to the highest point and switch off the engine. Can you imagine? People flying for the first time, and it's got a canopy which you can see through. So the aircraft is front heavy, and they describe it to a piano being thrown from the air. So it takes a nosedive. And there'll be panic, shrieking, praying. Who have never prayed to the Lord for 15 years suddenly think about Christ, any God they can. And there is some lady, who almost fainted in the aircraft. And just the last maybe 100 feet or 150 feet, when he thinks that he can control, he used to switch on the engine. So that's the kind of stunts he used to play in the US. And he had a Mercedes car, which, you remember the Tata trucks which you have? With that symbol on the top, old Tata trucks. So the Tata company sent him a Tata, that is Merc 190 black car. And those days, not too many people had black cars. And then his friends used to say, okay, let's both go in the car. Let's go for a double date. That I will go with my girlfriend and I'll get you a girlfriend also because the car is yours. And Mr. Tata would fly in this aircraft, land in some meadows near Ithaca airport, and both of them used to jump out in MGR style and go for the date and come. That's the other side of Mr. Tata. And you want me to speak about Carolyn Jones?
Yeah, we'll just come to Carolyn, but for people who might not, and when we are talking about flying and the passion for flying, this is in the 1950s, right? And it's those small single-engine planes, and Cornell, where Mr. Tata was, that's in this. It's in New York State in the U.S. It's virtually a village. I mean, I wouldn't even say a small town. As many university towns in the U.S.
He also studied in the U.S.
Yeah.
He also studied.
Not at Cornell, though.
No, but that's okay. Equally good university. And he has the same weakness as Mr. Tata has.
Yeah. So,
Please ask him.
So Ithaca Airport was then and still is a very small airport. It's almost like, the small greenfield airports that we have. And to, just to soar into the skies from that airport and then plummet down, like Dr. Mathew was saying, nosedive. I mean, the thrill of that is something completely different. And the cars, of course, that passion lasted to his last days.
Yes,
right?
I
How
agree.
many cars did he own? And not just that, but also the whole innovation of the Tata Nano, would have come out of that passion, surely.
Completely. I completely agree. And now, shall I ask them that interesting question? How many of you would like to see Mr. Tata's girlfriend, first girlfriend?
Yes. Several.
I only see more men, okay? Okay, doesn't matter. Can I have the next photo, please?
Yeah, this is his grandmother. This is not his
Go on to
girlfriend.
the next. Next, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first flame of his life. It has not even ended today. I'll give you the story. She is Carolyn Emmons, later Carolyn Jones. As I told you, there are too many names, so I don't want to confuse you. Jones and Emmons employed Miss Tata. And this is Emmons' only daughter. She's living in San Francisco. I interviewed her for 11 hours. And then I came back to Mr. Tata and I told him, sir, I interviewed her for 11 hours. He said, what all did you ask her? I said, I'm not going to tell you what all I asked her, but I can tell you, you're not the giant I thought you were. So, out of zest. But he really wanted to marry her. And I'll tell you, but those days, I'm talking about 1962, her father forbade her from going to Mr. Tata's house at night and also prohibited him from going to Carolyn's house. But you know what she did? She winked and said, you know, Tata is a very clever man. You know how and what he can do to, you know, move away from obstacles and jump walls. And on one such occasion, maybe at 6 o'clock, he was snapped, that is, photographed unaware. Can I have the next photo? Look at him. Happy Tata at 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay? And now, you will ask me, from where did you get this photograph? Nobody's going to ask me, right? I'll tell you. Carolyn Jones, or Carolyn Emmons, had kept this photo despite the fact that she was married and she became a grandmother. She kept it in the last drawer of her lingerie. So I said, why did you do that? He says, the flame of my heart was Mr. Tata. And I did not want, you know, his image to go away from my mind. So every now and then, when a husband or kids were not there, is to pick up and see this. And now go back to the next one. Go back to the earlier one, please. Earlier one, I'll just tell you something. Earlier one. Yeah, okay. There is something very interesting in this. Only a private conversation with Mr. Tata and I. I'm sure until I go there, he won't fight with me, so I can openly tell you. This photo, he was unhappy. He said, Thomas, you should not publish this. I said, sir, why? He said, you know, my looks are not right here. You know, so what I told him, I said, sir, at the age of 24, your looks are right. Yes. So finally, I said, I am not taking your permission. This photograph was given by Carolyn to me with no conditions or strings attached. So therefore, there you go. I said, let the people know your love life, the fun side of your life too, not the serious Mr. Tata who we know. I think we're running short of time.
No.
Yeah.
So what happened with Caroline?
Sorry.
Mr. Tata comes back to India in 1962. His grandmother is unwell. Caroline is actually supposed to follow him to India. They were that close. What happened?
Yeah. In 1962, you had the China-India war. And in 1962, for an American family, to think about India, China was like, you know, going into hell. Her father said, you should reconsider. And she reconsidered. 18-year-old girl, what does she know those days about? India was considered to be a nation of only, elephants and the trick players, the rope trick players, the magicians, snake charmers. She said no. So therefore, she got married to a person called Owens. Okay. Now, Owens Jones. Owens was exactly like Mr. Tata, a pilot, but not as handsome, okay? A pilot and an architect. And the fathers, I know, in the Catholic way, a father holds a girl's hand and walks the aisle. And she said, are you sure you're not looking for a Ratan Tata in him? She did not answer that question.
Yeah, a psychologist can have a field day with this.
So he did not answer. And then I'll tell you something very interesting. In 2006, her husband dies. I told you the flames had not got extinguished. Okay? So in 2007, she decided to call Mr. Tata. And 2008, she came to India. And since then, every year, she used to come and stay at his house. That is everlasting love. For a month or so, that is what it is. I'm not trying to say you should follow that model. It may be very dangerous, okay? All right. That's happened to her.
Okay, we'll move to the work front. Mr. Tata comes back to India. His grandmother is very unwell. He goes to Jamshedpur, joins, then Telco, which later became Tata Steel, on the floor as a junior employee. Why did he do that? Why was he asked to do that? What were his learnings there?
See, even Mr. Tata was not sure why he was sent to Jamshedpur. He feels that they wanted to break him. While I think that's not the answer. JRD, that is who was the chairman, wanted to make him start from the floor so that you learn about the entire group. So therefore, he was packed off to Tata Motors and earlier Telco. Now, he was just like an ordinary apprentice. He, in fact, went to the MD. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine Mr. Ratan Tata going to the MD of the company and saying, "Sir, can I please get my car? My father has agreed to give me his car, and can I drive from wherever I'm staying to the place?" He said, "No. Get yourself a bicycle or a scooter." So Mr. Tata said, "If they want to break me, I am not going to break. I am not going to buy a cycle. I'm not going to buy a scooter." And therefore, for 6 months, he walked in the sultry climate, oppressive climate of Jamshedpur. And he walked, he defied. You push Mr. Tata, there's nobody who can push harder back. But not the way we do, in his own subtle way. So let me show you now. Do you expect, I'm sure you would be expecting Mr. Tata stayed in a sweet air-conditioned room with 5 servants, 10 servants, with 3-4 attendants. Can I show you the room in which he stayed? Can I have the next session, please, photo? Excuse me, can I have the next photo, please? No, photo, not this. Photo, next one, photo. Confused. The room, this is where he stayed, can you imagine? This is a photo which I took in 2023. So you can imagine what it was in 1962, 63, 64. And notice one thing, no toilets. No toilets. This is room number 13 where he stayed. And he has to stand in queue. Mr. Ratan Tata standing in queue, can you imagine? So he had no pretenses. He worked just like an apprentice, worked hard, and therefore learned the skills. And that is what was important. And after that, he moved to Tata Steel. Okay? That's Tisco at the time. And he earned his spurs there. He did a lot of engineering modifications, which continue to benefit the organization even today. So he was there till 1967. Like the Army, Navy, they send you through the rigors. So these are the rigors he was sent through. But at the time, look, let me give you a very interesting anecdote, and this is true. The MD of Tata Steel, Dr. J.J. Irani, his wife was in school at the time. And in Tata Steel, they were kinder to him. They allowed him to get his father's convertible car, okay? Can you imagine in 1963, 64, R&T driving in a convertible car? They say girls from school used to bunk classes just to stand at the junction to see him pass by. And I told this to Mr. Tata. He said, "How do you know?" I just said, the lady who was the ringleader told me this. No, that's not true. I said, that's true, 100% true. So you had a queue of girls, vying for his attention, but didn't work. There were other three serious relationship of his. If time permits, I will tell you about them. It all depends on Udayan.
We want to hear about Mr. Tata's contribution to the Tata Group. We'll come back to Kerala later. How did he envision the future growth of the group, and how did he take that plan forward? It's not an easy task. And the Tata Group that we see today, how much would you say is Mr. Tata's contribution to that?
This is another one.
Yeah.
Okay, this is him in telco. Shirt folded up like an ordinary apprentice. Today, our youngsters, when they go to the training shop, you would have seen their hat, they will have a phone. Half the time they're talking to their girlfriend or boyfriends, as the case may be. Now look at this man. And he was a main trainer. And I interviewed the trainer of Mr. Tata and Tata Steel called K.P. Mahalingam, who was 101 years. And I'll tell you a fascinating story he told me about Mr. Tata, about his kindness, what he did. There's no time to go into that. Now, let me talk about the serious business side. In 1971, Mr. Tata was given the first assignment in Nelco. Okay. Shall I bring in the Kozhikode connection also in here at this time? Yeah, okay. In Nelco. Nelco was, gasping for oxygen to live. That was how run down the company was. His sisters say that they gave him Nelco so that he will fail, and JRD will know that he's not the man capable of higher positions in life. And Mr. Tata traveled far and wide. When I say far and wide, as an ordinary man tried to revive. And to his credit, he really revived that organization. And do you know something? He came to Calicut. He came to a place called Radio World. Can you please give me section 5, please? And the shop he came to is owned by Mr. Abu Baker. I'm told Mr. Abu Baker is here. Can you please stand up? Abu Baker, please applaud his dedication. You can see the photograph. How was it? Nice. Can you imagine coming to Calicut in 1975? So that's what Mr. Tata, okay, this is with his entire gang. I don't know who all are there, his employees, everybody. See his level of humility. This is astounding for a man like him. You're talking about the future chairman of Tata Sons, which has a turnover top line of almost most of the countries would try to achieve. Like for instance, if you take the turnover, it will be almost like 145th or 130th country in terms of GDP. That's how big the corporation is, okay? So this is what it is. Now, okay. Now let me come to the serious business side. I'm not going to elaborate on all points because we don't have time. In 1991, India had unleashed the economic reforms. 1991, March 25, R&T takes over as chairman, Tata Sons. So it is contemporaneous. It is almost simultaneous. It was both a challenge and an opportunity, because at the time, Tata Sun was led by satraps, great leaders like Krusi Modi, Ajit Kerkar, Darbari Seth. But they outlived their utility, but they were titans in their own right. So R&T was considered as a greenhorn at the time. So at one side, you had to deal with the satraps who thought they were emperors and R&T was a greenhorn. And the other side, you had the buffeting winds of economic change of 1991. So you have two challenges to handle. He handled one, the satraps, by introducing the retirement policy, and he reorganized the entire group. Now, there are 11 pillars of strategy on which he reformed the group. I will just try to illustrate the challenge that he had faced. In 1991, when he took over, the holdings, I suppose you know what I'm talking about, the holdings of Tata Sons, the promoter company, in its other companies like Tata Steel, Tata Motors, were so low that it would have been vulnerable to hostile takeovers. I suppose I made myself clear to that extent. And I'll give you something which will shock you. A figure or a data which I'll give will shock you. Can you imagine R&T suddenly realizes that Tata Sons' stake in Tata Steel or Tisco at the time is lower than what Birla had in Tata Steel. Can you imagine? Just can't imagine that it could happen. That is because JRD was such a towering figure. Mr. Birla, before every AGM, used to come and meet him and say, here are the proxies, please do what you want with it. But suddenly when you add the fear of foreign companies of takeover, so that's the kind of challenge that Mr. Tata had to face. And therefore, through a series of financial instrument strategies, he slowly increased the stake of Tata Sons. 2, during the license Raj, that's prior to 1991, government decided who will produce, what to produce, for whom and where. Okay? So it was a seller's market. You can produce anything. You remember the old ambassador cars, like the Supreme Court said, everything except the horn makes sound. So you have to buy that. You know, there's nothing else you can do. So that is a kind of market you add. Suddenly, fierce competition. So he evolved a certain strategy, that is 11 legs of a strategy, based on a strategic plan of 1983, improved in 1990, called Strategic Plan 2.0, and then he took the corporation on a trajectory which is unbelievable. Now, I do not know if you're management students here. Any of the management students here? No. Okay. All right. Anybody doing economics? Or done economics? Oh, okay, ma'am. Now, you are the target. Okay. Now. All right. In 1991, R&T took over. 2012, we stepped down. It had an initial turnover, top-line growth of 5.4 billion. Okay? When he stepped down in 2012, it was $100 billion, means 1,724%. Okay? Now, let's compare it with the achievements of other so-called stalwarts in the world. I'm sure you would have heard about Jack Welch of GE. He was declared or announced by Fortune as the business leader of the world of the last century. He took his corporation from 27 billion to 130 billion, a growth of 381%, while Mr. Tata beat him by 1,361%. Now, why was Tata not recognized? Because he doesn't speak. You praise him, and the man turns cherubic, means he becomes deep red, and he starts biting his lips. And he says, no, he helped me, he was there. You know, I don't know for what reason he never. See, most of us will do one thing and we'll say we did it 100 times, like amoeba. You know, it breaks. Every time it breaks, again it reproduces. So it's like that. That's what we do. But this is the man. And and I'll just give you some figures for you to take home. When he took over, that is top line of Tata Sons was 1.88% of the GDP of the country, okay? 1.88%. Now, that is a time of low growth. In 2012, when he stepped down, we had unshackled ourselves of the Hindu rate of growth, you know, that very marginal growth. And it became 5.47% of the GDP. Imagine.
This is one industrial group that is contributing
47%.
5.47% of the country's GDP.
Can you imagine? That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Just imagine. Yeah.
And then I'll tell you, there is now, since we are can I?
Yeah, I think we should also open up to questions.
Okay, so,
I want to
okay,
talk
then
about
I will stop, because I've been ordered to stop, you know.
Yeah,
Then is that, you know him, he's the one who did the Tata book, edited it, and not only edited, he used to crack his whip every morning, afternoon, and evening. I stopped taking his calls after that.
You can well imagine this, yeah. Absolutely, yes.
So he's cracked it again.
No, but one of the absolute, we'll come to questions in 2 minutes exactly, because I want Dr. Mathew
Sure.
to talk about something without which we can't close a session on Ratan Tata, his love for dogs. Tell us a little bit about his beloved pets and all the work that he did for dogs everywhere.
I'll tell you something, you know, he's also got a weakness for dogs. He also loves dogs. See, for Mr. Tata, other than his grandmother, the closest was his dog, Tito. The first dog he got from Jamshedpur. I'll tell you something very interesting, which irked Carolyn Jones, okay? Now, Carolyn Emmons. She called him and said, I'm coming on so-and-so date in March, or a certain date in 2008. And he says, I will be in Mumbai. So when she came to Mumbai, she called up Mr. Tata. Mr. Tata is not in the country. Where is he? He has taken his dog Tango to Minnesota to treat him because the vet said you need to amputate his leg. He said, I'm not going to do that. So he went all the way. So she says, this was not fair. So you need to understand his first love was his admired was grandmother, second love for dogs. And he would do anything. The only time he would be irritated is when he's playing with a dog and somebody wants his time, his attention. And believe me, he has said it on many occasions. In fact, dogs are the best friends of man. Oh no, I do not have pictures. I'm sorry, I did not get the pictures.
You can see a picture of Tito in
It's
the book.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
A majestic dog. Absolutely, lived for about 14. And whenever he had a problem, whenever Mr. Tata had a problem, when he had an altercation or a difference of opinion with Mr. JRD, he said, I'm quitting, took his dog, went to the beach and went for a run. It's like you say, you pick up your girlfriend or boyfriend or wife or somebody else's wife, or depending on what you want to do. So that's what they used to do. And he always depended on his dog as his last companion.
I think you've got a fairly good picture of what this incredible man was like and the career trajectory that he went through. We're going to open it up to questions. We have exactly 12 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. Pass around the mic, please. Yeah. Please.
Sir, yeah, excellent speech as usual. I've heard you before. There's one story which I don't think you mentioned it today, which probably the audience may like. This is about the board meeting where Mr. Tata hid himself under the table and then came out and all that. I find that to be amazing.
I'll tell that. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Okay, I will do that. Okay, go ahead.
If you can have a mic there, please.
Can you give the mic there, please? Sure, ma'am.
We'll take a couple of questions and then answer them too. Yeah.
So,
Go ahead and while we get the mic to him. Yeah.
thank you so much for such a vivid account of a legendary's life. I think we cannot talk of Tata, we cannot be complete about him until we talk of 2008. And I don't recall the year exactly in 1990s when the massive fire happened in Jamshedpur. And they set up an entire comprehensive plastic surgery unit there. So I would like you to please also talk a bit about the quiet leader and the humane leader that he was. Thank you.
I get it. Next question. I take 3 questions.
Yeah, let's take 3 and answer them together in the interest of time.
Sir, it is nice to hear Mr. Ratan Tata was very attractive to women, but my interest is Tata, the industrialist. My knowledge is that most of the expansion occurred during J.R.D. Tata's time. Tata only maintained it, and his main entrepreneurship was Nano, which failed. Then he took over Jaguar, which is only average successful. He took over the steel company in West Europe, which is now running at a loss. So I want to know more about it from you.
Sure. Let me answer these questions. Now let me tackle that very serious question in a not so serious manner, okay? Now, it is completely untrue to say that Tata Group's growth under JRD was sharper than during time of R&T. Stop. I'm going to only give you in staccato sentences, if you don't mind. I had done an analysis of the income of Tata Sons. Now, income of Tata Sons means the dividend from the various companies to the promoter company. So that will give you an indication of the health of the Tata companies. I traced it from 1917. During the time of JRD, and I said this to R&T, he said, no, don't say that again. Because he used to consider him as his father, okay? The CAGR, if my memory is right, was about 7.47%, while under Tata, it was 28% under R&D, number one. Number two, you are talking about the three large acquisitions, Tetley, Chorus, and Jaguar, okay? Now, 3 points. Number one, R&T always said we have to do things not for ourselves as much as we have to do for the nation. In other words, if India has to become an economic superpower, it's time that we looked beyond India. So Tata's became a harbinger of foreign acquisitions, okay? Third point will be more elaborate. In 2004, the top line of the total income, 20% came from abroad. In 2007, around 40. 2012, 60% of the income came from abroad. Now, what did he do? He showed the other companies, if you have the courage, if you have the wisdom, then you can go ahead and make a success of it. Next point. Please understand this. I do not know from where you got the impression that Jaguar is not a resounding success. You know, when Mr. Tata took over Jaguar, he was asked to pray to God, pray for deliverance for it to succeed. And in 2018, he had a PAT, profit after tax, of 10.6 billion pounds, number one. Today, you will understand what is happening to Tata Motors, I suppose. R&T told me, Thomas, I wanted Jaguar to bring in their technology back to India to give India or give Indians a car as good as what the British drive. You know, his point was not that Indians are happy with this. He says, no. Why can't Indians drive the best car? So therefore, any small car you will see, the revolving disc, everything is based on Jaguar R&D, okay? In this context, a small point. Now, I'm going to throw this to you. Sorry, in 1988, R&D takes over as chairman Tata Motors. In 2016, he gave up in 2012, but I'm going to take the year 2016 because in 2008, you had the economic contraction, and it takes about 6 years for you to come back to the pre-contraction level, okay? Can anybody tell me the top line growth of Tata Motors from 1988 to 2016? If you come anywhere near 10 or 15% correct, I will take you to Paragon and buy you biryani, my favorite place. Come on. I'm just going to make you understand. Come on, somebody say, stand up and say something. Why don't you stand up and say?
Just-
Why doesn't the
just-
person you ask the question? Why don't you stand up and tell me?
Just give us a figure, any figure.
Yes, come on.
Yeah.
No,
Let's-
don't worry, I'll buy you biryani in any case. Come on, go on. Please.
I didn't say Jaguar is a failure. I said average success. And it is doing well in China. But in India, I don't see many Jaguars anywhere here. We see more BMD, more Benz, and other things. So, of course, from Jay sold the Jaguar because it was such a loss. Otherwise, he won't get it. So he bought it. Recovered the losses. That's true. I accept that.
So if you buy a Jaguar, you'll be very happy, right?
I will compare
No,
it with
okay,
BMW.
just make a wager. Just tell me how much, what will be the percentage growth? Top line. Top line, I asked you from 1988 to 2016, percentage growth. Just percentage growth.
No, I didn't
Make a guess. Make it just
Sorry,
a guess.
that I can't.
Make a guess, some guess.
No, thanks.
Let's say 20%.
Huh?
Let's say 20%.
20%? 2,000. Yeah, go ahead. Nobody else. Okay. 64 short of 20,000%. Even R&T didn't believe it. Because R&T at the end of the day did not have a great office, to be very honest. So first time I told him, sir, he said, Thomas is completely wrong. It can't be. So I went back to the annual report. Annual report can never speak anything but the truth. So I showed it to him. And I told him, sir, wager, blank check. So finally I proved it to him. And the man gave me a blank check. But the problem was it was not signed.
It was entirely blank. It was not even signed.
So,
Sir,
so that's
please
what.
sit. Please
Okay,
sit.
now
Let's
let me-
take let's take some other questions, please. Yeah. He's been
hello,
waiting
sir.
for a long
No,
time.
I have to ask.
We'll answer these two. Please go on, sir.
Sir, please. I really want to know why did he remain a bachelor instead of him having 3 serious relationships? Is it because of his trauma, his mother leaving him early in his life? So what is the real reason of him being a bachelor?
Okay.
Okay, and this gentleman, please. Let's take the questions and we can answer them all. We have 3 minutes.
Yeah, like we have J.N. Tata's contribution about a country controlling its resources like steel and, JRD bringing in standards of excellence for airlines. Given all you know about Mr. Ratan Tata, if there was one thing he did that changed the landscape of business for India, or perhaps the world, if you had to pick only one thing, what would that thing be?
Okay.
Great question.
No,
Yeah.
great question. If you happen to read the book, the last para you read, we normally believe that kaikuri odathillengi karyam nadakula. You know what I mean? Like you have to pay money, speed money. Otherwise, nothing moves, okay? But you'll have to accept one thing. Greater economies or economies which are on sustained growth follow a transparent ethical system. Okay? I'm only trying to put it in different words and explain to you. So here, R&T becomes a lodestar. Why? He has established for future generations that through ethical right methods, you can grow faster than those who adopt non-ethical procedures and methods. And the sustenance of a large economy and a higher growth rate can be achieved, like Tata's have, only through this ethical process. As a result of which, he has shown the light for the nation to move to the forefront of the larger economies of the world. That is his contribution. That's gone. Okay. Okay. Now, he wants to know about R&T the prankster. Okay? Great mimic. He will poke fun at you. He will play the games which 2-year-old and 3-year-old will do. Okay. One interesting instance. Tata Sons board meeting is a very serious board meeting where they still serve only cane sugar. They don't give you that, that sugar substitute. No. Because they keep with the tradition and they do that. And so you heard about Jamshed Baba, the brother of Homi Jahangir Baba, the scientist. So R&T, when he went abroad, he got a water pistol. You know, water pistol, which a 2-year-old boy will buy in this, you know, ee മേളയിലൊക്കെ കിട്ടൂലേ, you know, pish pish നടിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ. So that is the kind of thing he used to. And he went 15 minutes early or 20 minutes earlier to the boardroom, and with a lot of sellotape, and he was fixing the water pistol aimed at Jamshed Baba's chair. Okay? And the attendant, about 5-10 minutes before the board meeting starts, you know, said, Mr. Tata is coming, let's see if everything is in order. So he found a man half under the table, only legs standing up. Okay? So he said, what the hell is going on? So he caught him by the, by the trouser and pulled him. It was Mr. Tata. What was he doing? He was getting the water pistol fixed on Jamshed Baba's chair. Can you imagine if Jamshed Baba, would have got his pant wet, you would not have been able to stand up wondering what actually happened. Whether did he have too many drinks last evening, or did he have too much of water? So that's the kind of man. And plus, tall man.
Sorry, time out.
Okay, sorry.
Great story to end on. Sorry we couldn't answer 2 of the questions. We're out of
Sorry,
time
I
entirely, but we can
apologize.
continue the conversations outside. Thank you, Dr. Mathew.
Thank you very much.
For writing the book and for this
Thank you.
wonderful
Thank you for
discussion.
being here.
Thank you all for being
Thank
here.
you for being here. Thank you very, very much.